All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Tiny Boy Trying to Grow, TBT2G. I'm here with one of my longtime Left 4 Dead 2 buddies, Steven. How are you today, Steven?
You're doing great, man. It's a good Sunday.
Good Sunday. That's right. All right. So, Steven, we'll just get the questions out of the way first that I ask everybody. And so
Okay.
I think I kind of forgot them, to be honest, and I lost where I wrote them down, but I remember like a couple of them. So if I miss one, I'm sorry, but it's not the end of the world. But I know one of them is how long have we known each other for?
How long would that be? Let's see. So probably since what, 2011? Something like
Yeah,
that,
that's when
2010,
polarity was
2011.
11, I think. So I guess that's 6 years
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
so.
Wow. 6 years. It
Mm-hmm.
hasn't seemed like that long, but it actually was quite a while ago.
Uh-huh. And I guess that kind of answers another question was how did we meet? And that was we didn't really talk at all until me and Fever joined polarity, right?
Yeah, I think we scrimmed you guys a few times, and then just like a few months later, we just kind of like joined. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it was because of Nate. I think kind of we both joined anyway, but like we didn't really know you at all. And then oh, another question was what do you do for work?
What do I do for work? So I work at a biotechnology firm, and there we make cancer drugs. And to be a bit more specific, we do conjugations with this bacterial toxin, Shiga-like toxin, if you want to Google it. We conjugate that with portions of antibodies to target the toxin at a specific cell type. For example, CD21, I think, is one of our targets.
Okay, so you're trying to make a cure for cancer or just like to help with cancer or what is it? Can you be
Yeah,
more?
yeah. So theoretically, our drug would be like injected like intravenously, and then it would go and selectively target the specific cell line that we engineered it to do. And when it does, it forces internalization and then it shuts down ribosomes. And then the cancer cells cannot do translation, and that would end up killing them. That's the goal, anyway.
Okay.
We go through a lot of genetic constructs a week, so it's kind of difficult in doing this, but it's really fun. I really enjoy it.
That's interesting. So how do you like what do you mean by a genetic construct? Like how do you test that kind of thing?
Oh, okay. So by genetic construct, I mean specific plasmids that have our gene of interest. And sometimes, like these are all basically the Shiga-like toxin combined with a portion of an antibody. And we change, like here, like our different variants are basically different modifications to either the toxin or the antibody. And so, like the modification to the toxin would be either maybe we want to deactivate it to have like for a control. Maybe we want to de-immunize it so it doesn't cause an immune response in the host. And because it's a kind of a bad toxin. Like sugar, if you ever get food poisoning from sugar, it is a high chance of messing you up pretty badly. So we want to make sure that doesn't cause a runaway response in the patient, because that would not be fun. And also, we want to make sure that the antibody binds the receptor that we want to, otherwise, it doesn't work. So we just kind of like test different modifications each week. My branch R&D, we basically like grow these plasmids up in bacteria, and then I have to harvest the cultures, uh, and then lyse the cells. So we break them open, and then we purify the 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 lysate to specifically get the protein. Now, of course, it doesn't work that like it's not that pure, but we have methods of further purification and whatnot. Then we send these purified proteins off to a different group, and they test them in different cell lines and that kind of thing.
This is like so far above my head. I am understanding very little of what you're saying, to be honest. But I kind of want to move on.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But
Please,
what
yeah.
do
Feel
you
free to ask me more questions too about it. I don't mind.
Yeah, I'm not that smart with like anatomy and stuff to understand all of the words you're using. But at the same time, I have another question that what would you say to somebody, and I'm not saying I believe this line of thinking, but what
Mhm.
would you say to people that say, "Oh, well, the cure for cancer already exists, but the government doesn't want you to have it because then there's more money to be made." Or the
Um,
government or whoever doesn't want you to have it because they wouldn't make as much money off of patients. Because I hear
yeah.
people say that and stuff, and I'm not saying I agree with it, but what do you, as someone who literally works on a cure for cancer, say to somebody that says that to you?
Well, several different thoughts here. First is that yeah, I don't think it would be the government per se, but it'd definitely be like a influential corporation. Now, I'm not saying someone would do it, but you do have some corporate boards and CEOs that aren't exactly the most moral of people. And as to say whether that's actually happening, I don't know about that, but I don't know if that's completely out of the plane of existence, to put it a different way, just from how people have acted in the past. Just for example, the what's his name? Martin Shkreli, I think that's what his name was, who basically bought the patent for I think it was insulin injections, or no, EpiPens. It was EpiPens. Yeah, he bought the patent for EpiPens, and then his company jacked the price up to I don't know something really ridiculous. And you see things like that, and I mean, of course, there was a bit of a public outcry, but at the same time, I don't know, man. That's kind of common. So
So
I don't
you're
know.
saying it's not a ridiculous thing to say. Very well be happening right now.
Yeah, exactly. Now that's not to say there's evidence, and of course, when someone makes a claim like that, the counterclaim or the counter argument is, oh, where's the evidence? But I don't know if there's evidence, but at the same time, I definitely don't think that you can just flat out say that's never going to happen, as maybe some people might do, who think the
So when
world is
they
all flowers and sunshine and whatnot.
do you think you'll run into that when your team finds the cure for cancer and then you bring it to your boss and he's like, we can't let anyone know this, and then he destroys all your work?
I really hope not. Thankfully, one thing I really like about this place where I work is that the people are. I mean, we're a small company, so it's not like not some huge conglomerate that's just purely focused on like profit as the bottom line and margins and all these kind of things. I mean, granted, we have a budget and whatnot, but it doesn't seem like we are. We haven't compromised our morals just yet. So
Okay.
I'm thankful of that.
Okay, that's good. All right, well, that's interesting. So, with that, we'll go ahead and jump into the actual first question here. Um, so this is pretty unrelated, but I know you have a college degree, correct?
I do, yes, sir.
What is it in?
It is cellular and molecular biology.
Okay, so this question is, can you live an independent and decent life in the U.S. if you don't have a college degree? Is it possible to find a decent job with which you can start a family and take care of them financially without any bigger struggles?
Oh man, that's pretty tough. Contemporary times, that might be pretty hard, only because we've lost so many manufacturing jobs, and there's not that many other jobs that are capable of providing for like a like a wife and kids, and your wife would probably have to work too. And I don't know, it's hard to say, man. I know that was definitely possible 30 years ago, but today that'd be pretty difficult.
Yeah, I tend to agree. As far as like having the college degree, you don't always need it, but there's a lot of jobs that require at least like college credit or like some amount of college hours or credit. Because I know Tyler doesn't have a degree. He never finished his degree, but he like the job where I worked that he still works at makes a decent amount of money. I mean, you could probably like if only he worked, it wouldn't be enough to like have a wife and kid.
Hmm.
But if the wife worked and had a decentish job, then they'd be fine. Type of
Yeah.
job, but um, excuse me. Yeah, but he has like that job required like just a certain amount of like college hours or credit or something. So I know that a lot of jobs do that. I know um I was looking for jobs just recently, and um I saw a decent amount that could be done straight out of high school. Like they didn't, you just needed a high school diploma or whatever.
Hmm.
Now it wouldn't like, again, that's not enough to sustain a wife and kid on just that paycheck. But I think most, and this is just coming from a 24-year-old perspective here. I think the friends that I do have, I have two really close friends that are married, and one of them just had their first kid. And I think
Exciting.
most families, young families especially, both parents will work. I think it's rare to see um, a family where, well, I'm thinking of two other examples where they do that, but I think it's really really hard and really difficult and pretty rare
It is.
where the only one parent, if they're in their 20s especially, will be working. Um, but so as far as like if it's possible to get a decent job without a college degree, I would at least try and get an associate's personally, just because
Definitely.
I think it's pretty hard if you don't have any college credit to find a decent job. But it is possible. But again, I don't think you'd be able to support, if you were the only one working. I think it'd be near impossible to find a job to support an entire family just off your paycheck without a degree at the least.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. Things used to be a lot cheaper where you could do that. And the things I'm talking about, not necessarily just like cheap consumer goods like clothes or whatever. That's not, those have become cheaper. But what hasn't become cheaper are things like housing. Housing and
Mm-hmm.
rent is very high. If you're having a kid, maybe your wife can't get maternity leave or you can't get paternity leave, so then you have to pay for daycare. Yeah, and that is very
Daycare is
expensive
really
too.
expensive. Yeah.
Kindergarten. There's so many expenses now that are, it's kind of crazy. And you
Mm-hmm.
don't want to necessarily have to rely on credit because then that's not good having to rely on credit. And yeah, it's very difficult to just rely on one person. So yeah, at a minimum, your spouse is gonna have to work too. And then I don't know what kind of education she would have, and it's kind of it's just rough because like you could do like something like truck driving. I think they make a lot of money, but at the same time, there's been a lot of pushes in automation, and potentially even vehicle driving could be automated, and that's going to suck for a lot of people. There's going to be hundreds of thousands losing their jobs doing like truck driving, and that's not even
I don't know if
including
that's in
other
the
things like fast food that are going to be automated too.
I don't know if that's in super near future. I would maybe like in the next 10 years that is like a thing, but
That might be like 30 to 40.
yeah, I was gonna say like I don't know if that's an immediate concern though. But my I was gonna say as far as truck driving goes though, if you do that, then you're kind of gone a lot. Like
Hmm.
you do really long
Absolutely.
drives. So
Personally, I wouldn't want to do that.
yeah, I wouldn't either. But as far as the question, is it possible to find a decent job? A lot, like yes and no. You got to kind of do a lot of looking and get lucky, but it also kind of depends on the employer, because some employers will care more about your work history or
Yeah.
your credentials, as far as not, they'll be willing to bypass your like academia credentials if you have like other things that you can bring to the table, kind of. But
Hmm.
that varies per employer, I guess.
There's also vocational school. You might not want to overlook that. Tradesmen can make a lot of money too. Electricians make a lot of money.
Hmm.
The post office is actually a good choice. They actually make a decent salary. It's kind of dirty, but garbage men make a lot of money for what they do. Yeah, there's quite a few options you have. I don't know if the positions are going to be open for you, but
Right. All right. Well, let's move on to another one. So the next one, I'm not sure. I feel like I have to give this more thought, but this one is, what is your biggest struggle you've faced in life?
ooh, okay. I would say For me, my biggest struggle is keeping in touch with friends and family. I think that's my biggest struggle. Because over the years, I've moved quite a few times, and it's really easy just to stop like contacting your friends. Because personally, I'm not really big on Facebook or anything, so that kind of like I'm basically relegated to like texting or phone calls, and I don't I don't really like doing that much either, so it's kind of hard for
So how do
me.
you what do you prefer to do to keep in touch with people? Just to see them in person?
Yeah. I love the in-person kind of connection, and that's what I thrive on. I do kind of have difficulties just with like pure phone calls or texts and whatnot.
What about recording a podcast episode over the internet? Is that struggle difficult for you?
That's okay. I'm okay with that. It also helps that like I haven't really like I guess this is technically, this is real life. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not fake, but I don't like we haven't like ever met in person before. But I'd want to though. That'd be
Hmm.
really cool.
Well, you met Fever one time.
I have,
Did you
yeah.
guys
He
ever
came
follow
over.
up with that or no? You guys never saw each other again in
No,
person?
we've never saw each other again after that.
Dude, you should go to one of his shows. He does like concerts and stuff now with like his music stuff, and he lives near you, so you should go to one of his shows, dude.
That's true.
He
Yeah, I
toured up
don't
to
know if I
Michigan.
would
Maybe
like
I'd
his
like.
style of music,
I mean,
but
it's not my style, but if I knew he was playing like near me, like within like a half hour, I'd try and go just to say what's up. It'd be cool.
does he have a DJ name? Is it Fever Ray?
It's not a DJ. He's not a DJ,
Oh,
dude. He's like he does like I don't know the exact genre it is. I think his Facebook page says like dark wave or something. It's like
ooh.
it's like it has like a 80s like blend to it, but it's like also I don't even know how to describe it, dude. It's
I
it's
could be
like
down for that.
80s y. You've never heard his music before?
No.
Wow, dude. You're not even a friend. You No, I'll send you something then. His
Okay.
band is if anyone else is interested. His band's called This Cold Night. Is what it's called, and you can find him on like Bandcamp and YouTube and everything. He's done like several albums now. And when I say band, I think it's just him.
Dude, it pops up in
Um,
Google search, so
yeah,
that's
like
something.
I see, I mean, we're friends on Facebook, me and him, so I see him post about it all the time, and like there's like reviews of his albums and stuff. So it's been taken off a little bit ever since he quit video games.
Mm.
So that's what he's up to nowadays. But anyway, um, as far as me, was the biggest struggle I faced in my life. It's hard to not just say. I feel like people get tired of how much I like complain about or hate porn, but porn is such a big like it was such a big factor in my life growing up that it's like hard to not say that one. So that's my answer. Mainly because I I mean I started looking at porn when I was in eighth grade. So how old are you in eighth grade? 12?
Yeah, 12. Yeah, that sounds right. 12 or 13.
Um, and I just like it really effed up my whole like especially through like early high school and late high school even into like early college. It really effed up my worldview on like anything related to like women or relationships or sex in general. Um, it just really skewed everything. Like I really hate the type of people. I don't hate the type of people. I don't hate the person, but it really annoys me when I'm around the type of person who um will like talk about women objectively in the
Yeah.
sense that like there's this one time I went to it was after one of Tyler's wrestling shows and a couple of people like a couple of the wrestlers and then like this guy was one of the crew people that
Hmm.
help out with the shows. We were at the bar afterwards, and he turned to me and he said, "There's a lot of nice racks in here," something like that. Like
Oh
made
boy.
something like that, and that just made me super uncomfortable. I was I literally was like, I didn't know what to say almost. I was like, yeah, I mean, I haven't been looking at that, so I don't know. Like, I never would have that thought. You know what I mean? Like, but that's kind of the way I thought when I was growing up. You know what I mean? So it really bothers me now. But when I was, in early high school and in high school in general, a lot of my growing up life is that's like the first thing I would notice about women is I would have a
Hmm.
hard time not looking down and stuff like that, and I would like just see them objectively and stuff like that. And I would like it just really effed up my whole perception of people and women especially. Um, and it's been a long process of reversing that. And in that process, I kind of grew, hatred towards that type of thinking, obviously. So that's why it
Yeah,
annoys me when I have people like that say things like that to me. But yeah, so that's probably been the biggest like mental struggle of my life, I would say.
dude, yeah, man, F porn, dude. Not only that, not only does it kind of teach like an objectification, but there's also it's addictive.
Mm-hmm.
Like you get the dopamine rush when you look at it and all those kind of things, and that's not good, man. It's hard to
Mm-hmm.
like just quit cold turkey too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what a lot of people don't understand is like all of the like the literal brain like chemistry of it and like
Yeah,
how it can like f you up and stuff and how if you look at it consistently then the same stuff doesn't you need like a bigger dosage of dopamine and stuff and you have to keep getting like harder and harder and stuff and doing it more and etc. So yeah, there's a lot of problems with porn and culture in general kind of tries to normalize it, which is annoying to me. um I don't know, it's annoying being around like people that don't understand that and that are kind of fully indulge in it. It's just kind of I don't like being around that type of thing.
yeah, yeah. I don't blame you for that at all.
All right. Well, anything else to add on that question before we go on to the next one?
Yeah, sure. I would add, well, just from your answer, I would add, go to Google Scholar and put in pornography and changes to brain structure, just to, if you want like some more academic takes on that.
Word. Cool. Yeah, man. All right. So we'll go on to the next one. All right. So in terms of various issues in the world, which one is the most important to you in terms of solving or changing for the better?
That's a massive question.
Yeah, I don't. There's so many that it's like hard to choose just one as like the most important. I would say, I mean, I feel like a lot of people would say stuff like racism and feminism and stuff like that, or
Mhm.
probably, I'm honestly much more, I have much more, that's the way I want to word it. Not hate. I really am bothered. I'm more bothered by things that are going on with like ISIS and stuff. I think that's a really messed up situation in the Middle East. Like that, a
Yeah,
lot of really messed up stuff happens over there, and I that's why I really hate it when people make like ISIS memes and stuff. Like it's not a joke, dude. These people are legitimately insane, and it's drives me crazy hearing about like stuff that they do over there. So that's something that if I could like pick one thing to fix immediately, it'd be that. I'm
yeah,
not saying
I
I
can see
know
that.
exactly how to do it other than killing them, but like I'm just saying if I could like snap my fingers and have one problem in the world solved other than like I guess world hunger and stuff, but like in terms of I guess what you see in the news, that would be the one I would pick. That's your
Yeah,
turn to talk.
for me, I would say, let's see, probably like not to use the meme here, but like making our country better again. But in the sense I mean for it is for those in poverty and like making infrastructure and critical things like that much better for like the working class and and poor people under them, the underclass. And then like the lower middle class that still has to work fucking 40 to 50 hours a week. Oh, by the way, how do you feel about cursing? Should I not? Or
Uh,
light or
I'd prefer if you could do your best to not do it, but as long
that's
as you're
totally
not
cool.
cussing up a storm, it's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
So
there's
anyway,
been cuss words on it, it's fine.
just to repeat, but yeah, just trying to really make our country better for the so-called the working men and women of our country that really make it run and having less elitism and having less technocracy and self-serving elites in power and having having the revolving door between huge corporate firms and governments, and it'd be things related to that. Getting universal health care, so you don't have to go into debt just so you can have like some surgeries, or you have to sell your house, or just for super ridiculous things like that that people in a lot of other countries don't have to do. And it just makes so much like sense to me, considering we're the richest country in the history of the entire world, and we can't do that because things like insurance companies will lobby against it, and just I would like to change that. If I had to change anything, I would like to change those types of things. Better
I
working
could change
conditions.
anything. I could change those type of things. You picked more than one.
I did pick
Cheater.
more than one, but it's just
It's okay.
there's lots of issues
Hmm.
affecting like the working class, and yeah,
Okay.
tough to pick one. Very
Right.
very difficult to pick one.
All right. So let's go to the next question. Next one is what in your life are you most passionate about and why? Do you show or use that passion enough, or do you think there's more you could do with it? So,
Mm.
what are you most passionate about is the first question, and why are you passionate about it?
I I would say I'm very passionate in terms of politics. Now, I need to do something with that passion. It's just kind of funny because like I went to university and I did science instead of something like political science, for instance. But I would like honestly, if I could do university over again, I actually might have picked like something like political science instead. But there's just not that many jobs you can really like do with that.
Uh-huh.
And it just kind of sucks too, because I would want to start like my own kind of movement. I wouldn't want to just have to like if like to be a politician, you basically have to run through the Democratic Party if you're any sort of leftist, whether it be super far leftist or just your centrist liberal. You have to run through the Democratic Party, and I wouldn't want to do that.
Why not?
Um, because the Democratic Party, to put it in the words of Noam Chomsky, is just one side of the business party, and the other side is the Republican Party.
Gotcha.
Now, that's not to say they're exactly the same, and I don't want to, say they're exactly the same, but
Hmm.
they have a lot of similarities, and I really wouldn't want to go through that entire structure. You could just look at what they did to good old Bernie Sanders to see why.
What do you mean by that?
Well, they just kind of crapped all over him.
How so?
How so? Well, the dozens upon dozens of PR releases in the media, crapping all over him, the numerous New York Times articles, all the.
I mean, isn't that every politician kind of gets that, especially if you're like running for president?
Well, yes and no. The same people that crapped on Bernie Sanders wouldn't. They didn't do the same thing to Obama or Clinton. They very
Gotcha.
selectively went after Sanders, even though he was actually more progressive than Obama or Clinton, and yet they really couldn't accept that.
Okay. So, anyway, going back to the initial question, do you show or use that passion enough, or do you think there's more you could do with your passion for politics?
There probably could be more things to do. Maybe join some sort of like local political party or something. Maybe Austin has a DSA chapter that I could join or something. But I don't know. I feel really hesitant about putting my time and energy into a political organization, i.e., the Democrats, and not actually getting the things I want done through my
Uh,
time and energy. That just seems like a complete waste of time to like help the Democrats when the only thing they're offering is to get someone like Cory Booker elected. Like that's just the biggest like waste of time for me. I would never want to do that.
okay.
So yeah, there like there's probably things I could do, but I don't know if I would like want to do them based on what the actual end results would be.
Are you is your family, would you say your parents or and stuff are like more left leaning as well?
Yeah, they are,
Do
but
you
I'm
have
probably a
conversations
bit
like
more radical than they are.
do you have like conversations with them about politics pretty often or not really?
I do actually, yeah. It's really nice. I actually recently got my mother into reading a lot of the same books I read. So she actually takes a similar outlook on me in terms of corporate power, corporate representation in government, and those types of issues. I've really um, this is going to sound kind of condescending, but I feel like I've really gotten her educated the past like few months or so. Like I know it's really laughable to hear that, but I don't know, man. I'm really proud of her that she's actually like reading books by like political science professors, and it's really nice. It's really nice.
Gotcha.
I'm really thankful that like I can actually have those types of conversations with my parents and like
Hmm.
not feel like I'm just talking to a brick wall or something.
Hmm.
Like not like they're not just totally so not uninvolved with politics or think it's boring or something, but yeah, it's really nice. And I suppose like the main reason why I really like politics is that like you only have one life, you know, and I think it's
Hmm.
really interesting how like humans as like organisms just really how they group up and form alliances and get their collective will to be heard of. I mean that doesn't really happen today because the masses don't really have any voice in our country anymore. But I like the idea of that though. Just like how people organize and group and gather and those types of things. How you organize society, how you want it to be.
Okay. Yeah. I can understand that. As far as what in my life am I most passionate about and why, I don't know. I have like so many different ones that I'm not sure if I could like pick just like one top one. As far as like which one I guess use the most often and do the most with, I would say like streaming and like video games type thing.
Hmm.
Because I definitely spend the most of my time out of any of them. I would say my passions would include like that, music, and maybe like filmmaking, I guess, but not as much as the top two. But I don't really do anything with music, so I mean, I like mess around here and there, but I definitely put a lot of effort and work into streaming and stuff. So that's really what I guess do the most with any of my passions. And I think it's not. I think it's fine to have more than one like kind of top passion. I don't
Hmm.
think you have to. I mean, this is kind of the one that just took off first in a sense.
Yeah.
So like, and I kind of like chose this too because when I break it down, if you were to like pursue music, that would involve once you got to that to a point, you would that would involve like touring and being away from home and stuff pretty often, and that doesn't really excite me. So I love
Yeah, man, I
music and
love
love
home.
yeah. So this one just makes more sense to be the one to pursue anyway. So as far as that question goes, I guess that's the way I would answer it. But yeah, I don't know. Let's do
Wait,
a left. Go on. Sorry.
did I dream this or did I watch a video of yours where you did like a Dead by Daylight like in reality? Was that you?
Yeah, that's
Dude,
I
that
did
was
a couple
awesome,
of
dude.
YouTube
Yeah,
videos.
that was awesome.
Dream
Oh my God, I love that.
did I dream this? There, I did several Dead by Daylight videos. I think I did like three or four. I did more than three. I did four or five. I did five actually. And then I actually just filmed an Overwatch one yesterday, so that'll be up in a week or two.
Dude, awesome, man. You need to get into like script writing, dude.
Yeah, my script is literally this is a secret of my videos. Okay, so my scripts for those videos are literally just notepad bullet points of the lines, and then I just kind of like think of how we could film each one, like how I could work on the screen. But it's literally just the bullet points of lines. So I did take a script writing class in college, so I could like relearn and work my way through writing an actual script. That's a lot more work than what I need to put in for these little meme videos. Honestly, it's not worth that.
Dude, if you made like a short film, I'd pay for it, bro.
I don't know if I have a ton of interest in doing that. Frankly, that's a lot of work, dude, and that just
True.
doesn't seem like a good career move at the moment.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Maybe in the future, years down the road. All right, we'll do a Left 4 Dead, couple Left 4 Dead 2 questions. Get these knocked
Oh
out. There's three
boy.
here. Okay, so what the first one is, what's the hardships of having to play with a team all the way to champions? And the way I kind of read that might be different from yours because I'm still kind of in the Left 4 Dead 2 community a little bit, so
Mm-hmm.
I kind of still know like what teams are around and stuff. But I think the way I read that is teams like don't last more than one tournament now. Like it's just
Really?
like pug teams that get together and win because they just like get all the best players, make a pug team, win the tournament, and then the next tournament they sign up with some of their other friends and stuff like that. And a lot of the teams like will drop out pretty early on and stuff like that. So I kind of I guess have a different perspective of that question going into it. But what's the way you would answer? What's the hardships of having to play with a team all the way to champions?
Oh man, well, I really miss the days when teams was just like kind of stayed cohesive. Like when, for example, like you would get a scrim and someone like Shade would answer it. Like you would play Sinister and you would play them like repeatedly. And I thought that was really cool how you could basically play like kind of like the same group of people and not only have a rivalry with like one person, but then also have like the same type of animosity with like three other people. And it was kind of just like having a beef with like a team. I thought that was really cool. But to answer the question, what I found was really hard was uh was when you first got together as a team and you were still like trying to improve like your individual play, but also your team play was scrimming very often, but also like not getting so tilted and mad at each other as to stop playing. That is a bad sign, and I thought that was actually pretty easy to do. I'm not sure how we actually lasted actually because when no comment Ven and Nate and I when we like started playing together, we lost so many scrims when we first started. Like we probably like I don't even know how many times like we lost, but like it probably took like quite a few weeks until we kind of started winning against like the crappier teams at the time. And then just after that, like we just kind of like shot up in terms of skill wise, and then we just started doing a lot better after that. But I guess like the answer would be like just trying not to get tilted both at yourself when you make like mistakes and whatnot, but also at your team members, because that's sometimes that's easy to do, especially when you're not like on the same page in terms of communication or what you should do in this very particular instance. And you kind of it's easy to rage at each other, especially not only in scrims in practicing but in like tournaments too. It's kind of it's easy to like get tilted and kind of rage out and whatnot. So yeah, it's very difficult just to kind of keep calm, keep chill, be collected, but also it helps if you get people that are not likely to do that too. That was also I kind of really lucked out on. Like teaming up with those guys back in the day is that that they weren't very easily tilted, and if they were, it never became a problem. So yeah, that probably sums it up for me.
Yeah, I would agree with everything you said as far as like being a newer team because when I first started playing, I played with Raccoon, Ice Cube, and Eclipse.
Hmm.
And Raccoon and Eclipse especially are probably like in top three of like both in the top three of like most chill people I've met playing video games. They
Yeah,
just like
yeah,
do
that's
not
really
get
good.
angry at all. So I think like what I always tell people, especially newer players, is like find people that you're friends with first before you make the team because if you guys aren't friends and you're just going into it like, oh, we'll learn together and grind it out, you guys just won't make it if you're not
Yeah,
friends. Like you guys
that
will
will not
just
work as well.
your mumble will be silent and you guys will stop talking and then you'll like because you have no reason to play if you're not gonna
Hmm.
like
Exactly.
if you're not enjoying it at all, you're not
It
gonna
has
keep
to be
playing.
at least like there's like a baseline level of fun, even when you're like losing even
Right.
hard. There has to be a baseline level of fun. hopefully like when your tank sacks, like there's like jokes that are said and not just like insults or something, or exactly dead silence would probably be even worse.
Yeah, so yeah, that's what I always say is try make sure you're friends first, and then because I mean we went through the same thing. You would lose constantly for weeks until you finally started winning one here and there, and then kind of it just like we were all of us, me, Raccoon, and Ice Cube, were all really like brand new to the competitive
Mhm.
scene. Eclipse had played Left 4 Dead 1, so he was not brand new, but I guess he like just enjoyed our chemistry, I guess, or like enjoyed that we weren't a bunch of ragey babies or something.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so the fact that we were friends and we played other games together all the time and stuff, like we were friends in and out of Left 4 Dead 2 was a big reason that we were together for so long. We were able to get actually pretty decent.
Dang man,
Um,
I miss playing Area 51 with Cool Jerk and Green. I don't remember the other people, but I remember those
Fnatic and
two were
Asylum.
the fucking most annoying people on their team.
What's funny too is Cool Drake's actually really chill now.
Really?
Yeah,
Nice.
he chilled out really hard. I don't know about Green. Asylum went crazy and then never was to be seen again. And
He
then
went to an asylum.
yeah, like he when Brink came out, he was like, "Do you remember Brink that game?"
Dude, I do, man. It
He was
died
like,
super
he
fast,
was
like within
like,
like 2 months.
I think the last thing I ever heard him say was like before Brink came out, he's like, "Enjoy your dead game. I'll be enjoying my 200 plus teams on Brink." And then I never heard from him
Eat
again.
those words.
So I don't know what happened to him, but anyway, yeah. As far as hardships playing with a team to the championship, it's if you're friends with the team, it's really not hard. Like whenever I was playing with Team Eclipse, which was with Ramirez and some other people,
Mhm.
that wasn't very hard either. Is because I mean I was friends with Ramirez and Knock and Nagi and all the people that were on that team. So it really wasn't like hard to be like, oh, we have another match this week, and I don't feel like showing up. My team's annoying. Like I never felt that really. Well, actually, I have, just not on the teams that made it to the championship, because it's usually if you're making it that far, unless you're like one of like Bravo's team, like Pug teams or something. I shouldn't
Mhm.
have said the name Bravo, but like anyone's Pug teams. So I hate to just like single him out because he's not the only one doing it. But unless you're like one of those teams that you rage at each other throughout the match, then I've never been on one of those teams that have made it far. So
Yeah, dude, those types of teams are super annoying.
yeah.
Especially like even if it's just like a pug and people get super ragey, like that's just so annoying to me. When literally the only thing on the line is just like winning like a game and that's it.
Hmm.
It's so dumb.
Yeah. So this question should be pretty easy. How does it feel to be a champion in Left 4 Dead 2?
Dude, it feels really good.
Do you still have your Sivo posters?
Dude, I never got the SIVO posters, dude. I'm still mad about that. I got the stupid EFPS like bag that was red. I
Dude,
got
I still
that.
use that.
And I
Not
think I still
stupid.
have the T-shirt, but I
Uh-huh.
never got the SIVO posters, and I actually wanted those more than like the
Really?
EFPS
I
scrap.
use
Yeah,
the EFPS shirt and bag actually pretty consistently.
good, really
It's like a
nice.
workout shirt for me, and then I use the bag for like it has like all of my microphone stuff in it, so I actually use both of those things. And then I have two of the posters hung up, and the rest of them I gave to my friend because I hate the cringy slogan lines for the campaigns on them. Like on Dark Carnival, it's like you have to be this tall to die. I hate that, so I did not want that on my wall. But yeah, they sat in my closet for several years before I actually hung them up. So, but anyway,
Dang man,
so
well I'm jelly that you got your posters.
have you talked to like how many people in real life have you ever said that you were like you won Left of 2 tournaments to? Like how many people in real life would you say know that about you?
Um, my close friends, and then I told my girlfriend at one point. I don't remember. I don't remember how it came up. I wasn't just like, "Hey, baby, you know I'm a champion, right?" Like I didn't say something like that. Like that just is so ridiculous. I don't remember how it came up, but I did end up telling her in some form or fashion.
Your parents know? Are they proud of you?
I think they did know at the time.
How did you when Fever came over? What did you say to them? Like this is my teammate Fever.
Maybe
You
that was
don't
kind of
remember.
like such a long time ago. I really don't remember.
All right. So anyway, answer. How does it feel? It feels meme team.
Yeah, it feels pretty good.
All
Feels pretty
right.
good.
And then this one's kind of vague, but we kind of went over it a little bit. But how was Left 4 Dead 2 back in your days? It's kind of a vague question. We kind of talked about the difference between back then and now. Is kind of there's like I kind of agree with the whole like Sinister, Team Sinister, that is rivalry thing. Um, it was pretty cool, like I remember back when Router Pixies, the European team, was a thing,
Hmm.
and people would say, argue about which team would beat who.
We
And
actually beat them one
nowadays,
time in a
did
scrim.
we? Did they beat us though in scrims too? To be totally transparent, I don't remember.
I think we only played the one.
Oh, really?
I
Was it
mean, they
on a
granted
US
they
or
had
Europe
yeah, it was
server?
on US, so they had like
Okay,
250 ping,
gotcha. Yeah,
but I
so
still enjoy remembering that.
I didn't even know that we ever played them. So I must have forgotten that. But yeah, I mean, people like nowadays that would just be decided. Like you would have home away game, and that would be it, and it'd be 4 hours long. But back then, the tournaments were separated pretty much because the scenes were big enough in the U.S. and Europe to where
Yeah.
you could have separate tournaments. But now they're all together because the scene's so small. Um, but yeah, I remember that being a thing. It's like who would win Polarity or Router Pixies. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was fun. It was more fun back then than it is now, I would say. But I was also a lot more tryhard back then than I am now. So maybe that's part of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Like if you listen to Polarity Warums and stuff, you'll hear me like cuss and like get hype and get angry and whatever else. Fever added a lot of fun to the game though too for me. Like Fever,
Yeah.
just like his attitude and the way he, you know, would communicate always made things a lot more fun. I
You
went
don't
back
know
actually
me,
the other
bitch.
day. I went back the other day and actually listened to a couple. I have like this unlisted video on YouTube of random mumble recordings. I know I've
Oh,
showed you
did
it
you have the
before.
recording?
Yeah,
I
I
remember when
went
he
back
did
and
that.
listened to like his he did two pep talks for SIVA matches. There's one at round two and then another one for the finals. He did a pep talk before the game started with each of
That's
us. I went back
awesome.
and listened to that. So yeah, like stuff like that made the game a lot more fun than now. It's just dealing with stupid European or American drama and stuff. So it's kind of annoying.
Yeah, dude, I don't
Um,
understand. Like sometimes I still see forum posts and it's just like it seems like people are just like still stuck in those it's like teenager mentality where there's just everybody trolls each other.
mhm.
Yet the community is so small. Like why do you like it's almost like pushing people away. Like that just seems so stupid.
Yeah, I feel like the game. I don't know. I mean, it's been on life support ever since we were playing it, so it's still on life support. But like, I don't know, man. Like, it's still I play it just because I have fun still sometimes like playing it, and I still enjoy the game. But as far as like a competitive sense, it's never gonna come back. Like, it's
Yeah.
we just have to move on in a sense. But I mean, I still enjoy the game, so I still play it. But yeah, I try not to get involved with like I don't run any tournaments or anything because I just don't want to deal with people and being annoying and try hard at this game that has 20 active players on it. So anyway,
Yeah, if my computer didn't have crashes playing Left 4 Dead, I'd probably still play it here and there. I just
I
wish
forgot
there's a
about
way
that.
to balance Left 4 Dead 2 without removing like every single thing. Like I can understand
Yeah,
removing T2 and stuff, but just like it'd be really cool if there was just some way to balance, for example, adding like adrenaline shots or trying to balance like a pipe bomb or bio bomb or something because like you just like there's such this disparity between like item usage and whatnot in like vanilla versus like ace mod or zone mod or whatever that it's just like you don't really like use anything. It's just like literally going through the level and you just like you don't even have to look for items. Like you look for like
yeah,
two sets of pills and that's it.
yeah. I agree. There was a config that Sir made called Apex recently, which is. Do you know what Reflux is? The config Reflux.
I've heard of it. I never looked into it or anything.
Okay, so Apex basically was similar to Reflux, but um, Apex there was no Chrome or Silence Doozy. He has since added them back, so because I complained about it so much. Sir is one of my close friends, and he makes the configs and stuff. Like he made Zone Mod and stuff. But
Hmm.
anyway, I hated Apex. I told him that I was like, it's not fun at all. There's no melee weapons. There's no Magnum. It's just there's the brown shoddy and unsilenced Doozy and no spitter. and I was like, let's just go play Left 4 Dead 1 if you're gonna play this. Like, why
Yeah.
even like? And they're like, but there's jockeys and chargers. Like, okay, but Left 4 Dead 1 then it's less buggy. Jockeys and chargers are pretty buggy anyway. Like, I don't know, man. I to me, like once you hit a line, there's like a line to be drawn where you're just making it Left 4 Dead 1 again.
Yeah.
And I agree with what you said. I wish there was a way to kind of get more balance in there. I'm not upset at removing tier twos at all. Like I really don't care about that. But
Hmm.
I was like I drew a line at like once you remove silence doozies and chromes, like let's just go back to Left 4 Dead 1 at this
Yeah.
point. And
Yeah.
melees. Melees was another thing. I really like people complain about melees all the time, but like I actually like that added aspect to the game to me. And I understand that the concept of like it's OP at clearing hordes or whatever when you're hoarded, which it can be. But I like what Sir did in his own mod was nerf it so it only does like 300 damage to chargers or something, so you can't fully
Completely
level
fine with
them.
that. Yeah. Completely
Yeah,
cool with
like
that.
I like that idea. I like ideas like that where you don't remove it, but it's still like useful, I guess, and different. I don't know. I really didn't like Apex at all, so I actually stopped playing it for like a week or two, like as much because it was all the pugs were on Apex and I just didn't enjoy them.
Yeah.
But anyway, so let's move on to those are the Left 4 Dead 2 questions I had. I told people to ask Left 4 Dead 2 questions since
Only three?
there's only those three. Yeah, since I told them we were champions at Left 4 Dead 2. So all right. So what is something you've always wanted to do, and why haven't you done it yet?
Wow, that's hard.
I have a couple of things that come to mind. One was I guess I did it recently, earlier this year. It was being a band, like an actual band. I have
Oh,
a
that'd be
couple
really cool.
buddies that I mess around making music with, but we don't like, we're not like serious enough to like ever try and play a show or anything like that. But yeah, I was in a band for like a couple months earlier this year. I think from like January to like mid February maybe, so like a month and a half. And it was really cool, and I enjoyed it a lot. And then the guy that like runs the band, like the guitarist, it's like his band. Like he has the
Hmm.
band name tattooed on his arm and everything.
Oh, wow.
Like it's his band. It's like his baby. And he just kind of was like slimy about it, and ended up not telling me about anything else. And then I was, basically kicked out. But like he, was scared to tell me I was kicked out, so he kind
That's
of strung me
stupid.
along of like, oh, we're still looking for a bassist because we had to get rid of our bassist, et cetera, et cetera. Like he just wouldn't tell me. All I said from him from the start was just like be straightforward with me, and he
Yeah.
just wouldn't straightforward with me at all. But anyway, so that fell through. But that was a lot of fun, and I'd be interested. Something on my bucket list is like playing a show. I think that'd be really fun to do.
Dude.
Um,
Yeah. I gotta
so we'll
agree with
see
you
if
there.
anything ever happens with that in the future. But the other thing is something I definitely want to be married at some point. But I mean, that's just an
Hmm.
easy answer. Why haven't you done it yet? Because I haven't found someone I want to be married to yet. That's I'm in a relationship right now, but we've only been dating a couple
Oh,
months and stuff.
good for you, Dawkins. Well
Wow,
played, sir.
Steven, dude, you're in a relationship too. You don't have
Dude,
to
I
say
know.
well played. Did I say congratulations to you? Am I
No, but
supposed to?
I'm happy that you're happy.
Okay, gotcha. But yeah, I mean that's an easy answer. Why I haven't done it yet? Because we haven't aren't at that point yet. But anyway, those are my two that came to mind. What about you, Steve?
I would say getting more involved in politics. Because, for example, like if you can read it's this really great novel. Well, maybe not novel would be a good term. Maybe like a nonfiction book about the Spanish Revolution by George Orwell. It's called Homage to Catalonia, and in it, like I didn't actually know this, like even when I read like 1984, for instance, but George Orwell actually went to Spain to fight fascists during the Spanish Revolution. And I just thought like that was really cool how someone cared so much about ideology that they would leave England, go to Spain, and risk their life because he got shot in the throat. He risked his life just to fight fascists in Spain. Like that's just crazy to me. And I would I mean I don't know if I would actually like go to like another country to do that, but I think getting politically active more than I am right now would probably be um one of those goals to do. And for a second one, I do agree with you on like joining like a band or something and playing a show. Because right now I'm trying to learn how to play guitar, and it's actually kind of hard, like trying to self teach yourself.
Hmm.
And I've been playing for a while, but it's just pretty difficult. But I would really like to play in like some type of band. That'd be really cool to do.
Why haven't you done either of those things yet? Is the second half of the question.
Oh man. Well, for the political activism, it's going back to my other answer before. It's kind of hard to do for a group that you really like agree with. So that's one answer. I mean, it's almost an excuse, but I'm also kind of lazy. That doesn't really like help or anything. And
I feel like that's most of the reason though that people don't do stuff is that they're lazy. Because I mean, as far as I guess I didn't answer why didn't I do the band stuff earlier than this year? Because I've wanted to do that since like college and stuff.
hmm
Mostly just laziness and like it would take up time. Then I kind of eventually just hit a point where I was like, okay, well, let's try and actually find a band. So I ended up finding one, and that all happened. But yeah, it just eventually was like, you know what, I still haven't done this. Let's do it now, or else I'm gonna be 40 and be like, why didn't I do that when I was younger?
I mean, you could always start a dad band. That'd be pretty fun.
Nah, that's not what I'd like to do. Plus, by the time I'm 40, hopefully I have a kid or two or more or whatever, and I won't have as much time for that, because kids take up a lot of time.
That's true, but you still need hobbies.
Yeah, but I have my other ones still. Anyway, well, I don't know what I'm saying. We'll just move on.
All right.
All right. Let's do this one. I have never talked to you. I Before we started this recording, I was telling Steven, I was like, we've never talked about politics or anything. So I don't know how you feel about this topic either. We've never talked about this. What are your thoughts on gender dysphoria and people becoming transgender? What about those specifically of a young age, like 12 and under, who want to identify as one gender or as the other gender and want to take hormones to start that process?
Dang man, that's really difficult to say. Like just one thing I want to talk about first of all is just that like as a biologist, there's a lot of chemicals in the environment that would influence that, whether it be things that you're exposed to when you're developing in the womb that act either more like estrogen or act more like testosterone. That has a big effect. And then not only that, but then after you're
Can you
born
give me
and
an
you're growing
example
up,
of something that would be like that, like in the
yeah,
womb?
yeah, of course. So a pretty well-known example right now is this additive to plastic. It's called biphasmal A or BSA, or no, sorry, BPA, and that has been found to activate estrogenic receptors. And so if you're like exposed to that, even in like a small like amounts, you can accidentally activate receptors normally that would be activated by estrogen. So instead of a natural hormone doing that like normally, you would have extra estrogen receptor activation, and that could potentially alter development. And so not only that, when you're born, you also have to keep in mind those types of things too, uh, like when you're growing up as a child. So I think those have some effects on like human development, be it like in the brain, because it's been found that people with dysphoria have like slightly different like brain structures. Like for example, like boys who have dysphoria in terms of feeling more like a woman, they have slightly altered brain structures to where it appears more like a woman's brain structure in like an MRI scan or a CAT scan. So it's just kind of interesting to kind of like note the environmental effects of chemicals in the environment. Sorry,
Okay.
what was the original question? I might have
You kind of answered I guess you answered the background. So it's what are your thoughts on gender dysphoria and people becoming transgender? And then the second part was, what about those specifically of a young age, like 12 and under, who want to identify as the other gender or want to take hormones to start the process?
Oh yeah, all right. So another thing I wanted to say about that is there's like in the discourse, there's kind of like differing like answers. Like just for an example, it's been like a common saying is that like you're influenced by culture and the
Mm-hmm.
environment and whatnot.
Yeah.
So while I don't think that's the complete story, but what if someone is influenced, but they're not actually having like real dysphoria? Do you know do you see what I'm like saying? Am I explaining this correctly?
I think I get what you're saying, but maybe try and describe it a little bit more just in case.
Like like what if you're getting like how do I explain this?
Like the way I took it was like, what if a boy likes playing with dolls, and culture says, "Oh, you must be a girl," but he's like, "Wait, no, I'm a boy." Is kind of what you're saying. Like culture would say he's having dysphoria, but he might not actually be having any sort of mental.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So there's things like that, and then there's this news article I saw. I'm not sure when. I'll try to find it at some point, but it was like these parents were like forcing their son to like wear dresses and things like that. Like what if that makes the son think that he's actually like a girl or something like that, you know?
Hmm.
So there's things like that, and then, but I'm also there's probably some kids that are also they just naturally feel that way. So there's that too. But
Hmm.
it's really hard determining which kids should actually do that.
Isn't there some percentage, like 90% or something? It's a really high percentage that a lot of kids that have some sort of thought like that when they're young, as far as like feeling like they're the opposite gender, grow out of it by a certain age or something like that.
Mm, I
Because I
don't
remember
know.
hearing that
I don't know
before.
about that, but I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know about a specific percentage because you can like just through history, there's always been like a small amount of people that have kind of had those different thoughts about it, like having dysphoria, for instance.
What do you mean?
Like there's just been like a few percentage of people in like a given population that would just naturally be inclined to
Okay.
just have those types of thoughts.
Uh-huh. I mean, as far as like my thoughts on it, I don't really care. Like if someone wants to, like if someone's a guy and wants to be a girl, if they're an adult,
Yeah.
um, I have a couple problems with a couple aspects of what that entails, though.
Hmm.
As far as before I get into that, I'll answer the second part though. As far as the young children, um, my personal thought is if you're 12 and under, especially, I am very against pursuing and sort of any sort of hormone treatment or any sort of like beginning the process of switching. I think like something like therapy would be fine, like having
Hmm.
a psychologist or something like to talk to about it or something like that, like kind of work through it that way. But I'm very against the, like I know for a fact that I've read. I guess I should try and look it up, but I'm scared that my typing would be loud on my mic since I'm at my desk, and usually these aren't at my desk. But I'm pretty positive I've seen a percentage that's pretty high um, of children that grow out of that, so to speak. Not like literally, like in quotes, grow out of it, like change their mind when they get older.
Yeah.
Um, so that's one reason I'm very against it is because I mean I was a complete idiot when I was younger. I kind of view most children as idiots generally.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, basically.
um, but I mean, I'm not saying they shouldn't have any right to their own body, but at the same time, I just don't think they're old enough to fully understand everything yet. And like if they have that thought when they're young and they grow up and they're 25 and they still feel that way. I'm not saying 25 is like the minimum, but I'm just giving an example here. If they
Yeah.
grow up and they're like an adult and they still feel that way, then fine, like I'm not going to try and stop them. But I think at 12 and under especially, I think it's pretty bad to start doing some sort of hormonal treatment towards that kind of thing. Like there is some mom in Detroit who let her like 13-year-old son start hormone treatment or something like that. Um, and I just saw that story and I was almost flabbergasted. Like I can't believe a parent would do that. And there's like something in Canada. I don't know if you pay attention to or know much about. There's like some law passed in. I don't know if it's all of Canada or just like a part of Canada or a city or province or whatever. But there was like if you don't let your child pursue like treatment or
Oh
something,
yeah, I
then
think
the
I've heard of
government can
this.
like take your kid or something
The
like
social
that.
services will step in.
Right, right.
I don't know about that either,
That's
dude.
really messed up in my opinion. Like I think that's awful. I think once the kid is like 18 or something and is a legal adult, he could make that sort of choice and then like fine. But yeah, I just don't like the idea of pushing that trans like starting the switch that early, especially before they hit like puberty and stuff where like their body's even fully grown yet. Like I don't think that's a good idea at all. As far as gender dysphoria though, and like transgender friends,
Hmm.
like I have transgender friends. I don't care. Like I won't. I'm not one of those people that like will refuse to call you whatever pronoun you want. I
Yeah,
think once you
yeah.
start getting into like the Z and Gen or whatever those weird made up ones are, I'm kind of like I've never met anybody that's asked to be called that before.
Hmm.
But I think that's kind of crossing a line. And once you start making up more than what actually exists, I kind of
Yeah, my
have
friend
a
just
problem
wants to
with
be
it. But
treated normally just like one of the guys, and that's totally fine. Like there's literally no issue with that.
yeah, like I don't have much of an issue with it. Like I care more about like being friends with the person and having a relationship with the person than I do to like angrily not use their pronoun. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah,
think that
yeah.
would if there is anything to be helped, which I guess I'm not saying that there is because people might get upset if I think that that's wrong or whatever. Like I really don't care, but I care more about being there as a person in someone's life than angrily not using the right pronoun or whatever. So that's my general thoughts on the whole transgender movement thing.
All right.
And another reason I've had actually I'll shut up. I'm not gonna say that. Do you have any other thoughts on that?
None that I can think of
Okay.
right now. I think I've explained my views adequately. I hope
Okay.
so, at least.
All right. So let's do like one, maybe two more. And then this one actually has your name in it, so we'll do this one.
Has my name in it.
Yeah, because
Whoa.
it's like for you, this question, as opposed to just a general podcast question. So,
Was it from Alexi?
don't know.
I don't know who
Anonymous.
who knows my name.
Anonymous. I knew everyone. I said it was my buddy Steven when I was
Oh,
hyping
okay.
this
Oh,
episode up. So, anyway, did Steven get his degree in science things so that he could mad scientist his way into making a danker strain of Vape Nation? But on a
okay.
serious note, what is your opinion on drug addiction? Obviously not marijuana, but when someone you care for is suffering from a
Obviously
severe
not on marijuana.
but when someone you care for is suffering from a severe addiction, at what point, if ever, do you decide to give up the hope of their recovery? For you specifically, do you think it would be after a certain time amount of time passed, or a specific number of failed attempts to get clean, or possibly even drastic events like theft that would make you lose faith? If you currently do know somebody suffering from addiction, maybe even just elaborate on how it's affected you. Be selfish with it.
Um, well, to start out with, I do know someone addicted to something, and I wish they'd really stop. That would be my parents, and they are heavily addicted to cigarettes. And I've tried to get them to quit for quite a long time. By the way, just an aside, I think this person might be talking about harder drugs like heroin or something or
Mm-hmm.
opiates. So I kind of feel a little weird just trying to like hey, they're addicted to cigarettes or whatnot. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I just I really wish they would quit smoking, and I'm actually pretty worried that someone's gonna get emphysema or lung cancer or something pretty bad like that. So I do know some people. I haven't personally been very successful in getting them to quit, so that kind of sucks. But to answer other parts of the question, if someone's like more like addicted to harder drugs, that's pretty difficult. I would I would say when it starts like really affecting their lives, like honestly, I would totally be fine with like stepping in. Like definitely step in, and they might like in the moment resent you or dislike you for that, but I think in 5 to 7 years time, when they are actually like off of like the drug in question, I think they would be very thankful that you did that. And
Yeah,
honestly, I would say do whatever it takes. Like like don't get them arrested or something like that, but maybe like get them put into like a drug rehab clinic or
isn't
some
it? You can't
type
you
of
not
option
get
like
put
that.
into rehab unless the person like agrees. You can't like force someone into rehab. I thought.
Oh, is that the law? I'm
I'm
not
pretty sure.
familiar,
I
but
think
I
they
would
have to
say
like sign
definitely try to
themselves
do
up,
that.
so to speak. Um, yeah, I mean, as far as like addiction, I mean, I won't go my whole porn route, but that was a whole addiction series. Um, I do have a family member, an extended family member that is addicted to a hard drug. I'll be pretty vague with this because I mean, it involves people in my family.
Hmm.
But I do have an extended family member who's addicted to a hard drug, and it directly affected somebody very close to me. Um, and like on Christmas Eve or something like that, it was like around Christmas. Um, he was like completely strung out, and one of my family members had to go like pick him up from the hospital and stuff.
Oh yeah, that sucks,
And
man.
like I know I'm not very close with this extended family member. Like I see them on holidays and stuff, and that's pretty much about it. But other people in my family are very close with this person, and it's really affected them. And like I've seen them, be very upset at what this person's doing, and you know, that in turn affects the rest of us. Seeing
Yeah,
someone in our
yeah.
family be upset about it. So I think it addiction, especially. I'd like to think I mean, as far as like my porn addiction goes, related to that, I've almost thought of it as kind of a motivator. Just like I don't want to be, and obviously I wouldn't be strung out at a hospital or something. Hopefully, from looking at porn, but still, like
That'd be pretty intense.
well, there's a kid that died apparently from masturbating too much in one day.
Whoa!
That was a few years
Wow.
ago. I saw an article about it. It was like he literally was just like doing it nonstop though. But anyway, that's kind of off topic. Um, yeah, I mean, I've almost used it as a motivator. Like, I don't want to grow up and be like that person. Like even if no one knows I'm like that person, very few people in my family know about my whole history with porn and stuff. Um, but yeah, I mean, I've kind of used it since I'm not really an aspect in this person's life. Like I said,
Hmm.
like I'm not close with them at all. I've never really thought about like stepping in. I didn't even know about this. Apparently, other people in my family knew about this, but the time he was strung out at the hospital around Christmas was the first time I've heard about it.
Hmm.
Like I didn't, excuse me, know of it before that, but other people did. So, um, it's something that's been affecting them for years now, and I was just surprised, like I had no idea he was doing that. And I don't know. As far as like giving up on the person, I don't know if if it's like family, I don't know if you can almost like you can, but you can't. Like I think like I don't think the person in my family would ever give up on this person in the extended family.
Yeah.
Um, and if one of my brothers or my sister was like addicted to a hard drug in a way, like if someone I had influence over in a way was addicted to something, then I feel like I wouldn't be able to give up on them in a way either. I would do everything I could as far as like stepping in and trying to remove it from their life. If at the end of the day though, as far as addiction goes, it's up to that person because you can't make someone else change. They have to do that themselves. And
That's true.
that's something that like kind of hit home with me too, is like at the end of the day, it's your decision. You're choosing to indulge in this behavior. and no one can force you to stop unless like you stop yourself. Like everyone can say whatever they want to say. They can like say a million encouraging things at you, but at the end of the day, it comes down to you making a choice of I'm going to do this or I'm going to not. And if that person like at the end of the day won't ever make the choice to stop, then that's nothing you could do about it, I guess. Like if in the case of like if one of my brothers or sister were doing that and they literally just never changed, I don't say I'd give up on them, but I would stop
Hmm.
inviting them to like holiday get-togethers or stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah,
would.
especially if they like show up and they're all wasted
Right,
and
right. Like
whatnot.
I would definitely like make a separation from them, but I wouldn't like remove myself completely, I guess, from them in the total sense.
Yeah, I feel you on the family member, man. I got a cousin that like keeps going to jail and prison for like possession of meth and those types of
Mm,
things, and it really sucks. It really sucks because you want to help them, but exactly when it comes down to like what you say, do they want to get helped?
right.
Are they gonna choose to accept your help and all those types of things? So
Hmm.
it's really tough. Like you do want to help them and you try everything you can, but at the end of the day, there's also they have to extend their hand too and whatnot.
Uh-huh.
Because it's not like Left 4 Dead. You can't put them in your backpack and carry them out of it. You know what I mean? It's just not possible.
You can't always do that in Left 4 Dead either, dude.
That's true.
But yeah, I mean, as far as like, it's really easy from an addiction mindset to feel like you don't have a choice, in terms of like giving into whatever it is you're addicted to. But I think a big part of me getting better was realizing that at the end of the day, it really is like I'm not forced to do this right now. I could literally just not do this. That was important, I think, to get through my head.
Hmm. I definitely say to the person asking the question, definitely keep trying. Don't give up on them.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, some people can quit, anything faster than others. It takes people all have their different roads and stuff, and you know, it takes some people less time than it would take other people, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do one more.
All right.
Okay. Uh, what are your thoughts on very close relationships with people of the opposite sex? Do you think it is appropriate to have best friends of the opposite sex with whom you hang out alone and talk about deeper, more intimate topics with if you are not dating or married to that person? Are there any topics that should not be discussed in opposite sex friendships that should be reserved for same sex friendships or significant others?
I mean, I don't exactly have a problem with it, but I don't. At least for me, I find it really hard, especially if either person has some sort of attraction for the other party. I think that makes it a lot harder. At least for me, it's kind of difficult to be very close friends and have that kind of like platonic kind of almost intimacy in being so close to one another, but also having that kind of like spark of attraction. So I don't like have a problem with it per se. It's just kind of difficult like for me as a person to have those types of relationships. And not that I
Yeah,
don't have any friends that are girls, but it's just
loser.
kind of it's just kind of like different than having like a guy friend, at least for me.
Uh huh. Yeah, I would say that I've never had this type of relationship with a girl I wasn't dating, honestly.
Yeah, yeah.
I have like friends that are girls, but uh, they, I would go to like, I don't know, there's very few things that I would talk to them about that I wouldn't, so I want to word this. I do talk to them about stuff, but it's it's very different than like if I had the same conversation with a guy friend, it'd be different. Um, I don't think that there's anything necessarily wrong with having a relationship like this. Like I don't think that's inherently wrong,
Hmm.
but I tend to agree with what you said in terms of especially if you have like deeper, more intimate conversations with somebody, it's hard to like my thing is if you're connecting with somebody on such a deep level, then what is stopping you from dating them? And if that isn't clear, then I think you're entering a dangerous, I guess,
Yeah,
territory.
yeah.
Like if like one of my friends, for example, is a friend that I do have deeper talks with, and she's a girl, but she's lesbian, and we're not, attracted to each other. So like, I have no problem talking to her about deeper stuff. But let's say it was someone I was attracted to, and we were both single, and we were having deeper talks. Then the next question would be like, well, why don't I? Why like why? That's I don't know. That's just the question I have in that case. Is like, why aren't you dating this person then? And if
Hmm.
you both don't have a clear answer of that question, then I think it can be a little concerning, I guess. Or I guess you might start running into problems that way.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, a big part of a dating relationship is being kind of like each other's go-to in terms of that kind of stuff. So like if I was struggling with something, or if I was like struggling with something deep, or wanted to I had a deep question or something like that, my girlfriend would be number one probably of who I would go to about it.
Yeah, it's like a
And
different version of a best friend.
right, and I think if you have someone like that, that's not your girlfriend, then you there has to be another reason that you're not dating the person, because that's a characteristic that is found in I guess romantic relationships in a
Hmm.
sense. So
Yeah.
as long as you know why you're not dating each other, then I don't have a problem with that kind of relationship. Anything else to add?
I think that sums it up really nicely.
Okay. Um, let's see. We're an hour and 21 minutes in. Do you want to do one more, or do you want to call it?
Um, we can go ahead and call it just because I want another cup of coffee.
Okay. All right. So that's gonna be. I think it's episode 6. I forget, but luckily I'm at my computer so I can check. But yeah, thank you for joining, Steven. I know it was kind of your idea to be on it in the first place, but I appreciate you stopping by. This is, like I said, the first time we've kind of talked about more deeper topics, I guess, and in a
Yeah, other
sense
than just
outside
like
of
Left 4
Left 4
Dead
Dead
2.
2. Right. But it was fun. I had a good time, and
Dude,
thank you.
yeah,
Yeah,
man. I
thanks for
really
joining.
enjoyed this.
Hmm.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, for sure. So, as far as an outro for everyone else, next episode will probably be next month or something, sometime. New YouTube video will be out next week as well. But thank you for
Ooh.
listening and all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys around.